present, so let's see more. I don't know what the others are yet, but today is July the 11th, and we are going to start a new week of advanced English. All right, so welcome Francisca and Stevie as well. Now we are 13. It is 9 o'clock. Matthias Riquelme, excellent. So I see most of you are joining the class. Hello. How was your week? Has it been a lot of things to do at school, maybe your last year? How are you feeling this process before the end of the year? Is it stressful in these conditions, or do you feel better than if you were at school in general? For example,
it's stressful, Miss.
It is more stressful, you say, Renata?
Yeah.
Because what is the thing that makes you feel more stressed about what's going on? In relation to your future, I mean, not only in relation to coronavirus and stuff.
I think that the test that we need to...
The PSU?
Yeah. I think it's very difficult to study without being in, I don't know, lo universitario. It's difficult, at least for me.
Yes, because it is the most special year, I think, from all the generations that since I was a little girl, because you've got two different conditions this year, a new test, plus this new system. But at the same time, you're going to be the first generation that can say that you went through all the odds to reach your goals. So you're going to be one of a kind, the generation, the 2020 generation, right? So if you look at the positive side, maybe you can be a generation that can make a change, especially if you're going to be future teachers, future leaders. You're going to be able to say, okay, I went through something that is as difficult as what you're going through now. I am from the 2020 generation, and that is going to make your students feel like, okay, he knows or she knows what he is talking about. So that makes a difference. Today, we are going to be continuing with our topic about that we started last class. I don't know if you remember the topic. Any of you, maybe, I don't know, Renata, Matias, Mati Costa, Alexis, who remembers the topic? What was it in general? Not details. Were we talking about gardening, sports again? What was the topic?
Relationships.
Exactly, personal relationships. And very good, Francisca, right?
Yes.
Yes, and we were talking about different types of relationships. And also today we're going to be talking about how complicated relationships can be. What is the main focus of our classes this Saturday and next Saturday as well? We are going to start getting prepared for something that we have, our next evaluation. What is in our next evaluation? Our next evaluation is speaking. Are you going to be alone? No. You're going to be not with a person that is a stranger, of course. Do not worry about that. But on July the 25th, your speaking test is going to be a debate. But you say, why and how are we going to do it? We are so many. Right. Organization starts counting from now on. And that's why from next class, I'm going to show you how to be organized into the different teams that I will prepare for you. You're going to have a motion in relation to the topic, different relationships. And using that motion, you will have to use this formal process of debating where you are going to make particular points or arguments and then defend an argument with supporting points. It all has an organization, and the main objective is to practice the key communication skills that are not going to be just for this test. These communication skills are going to be useful for you as future professionals, because we need to think that, I don't know if it happens to you, but when you say, I'm going to be a teacher, what do people say? Okay, just a school, right? So you can work in a school, you can work in business, you can work for a private organization at university. You can even work in investigation if you want to continue further studies and maybe master's degrees, doctorates. And if you continue studying, or if not, you are always going to be facing an audience. You are going to be actors, actresses. You're going to be leaders in the future. So you will have to have a speech that is so well organized that can help the audience understand and follow your ideas. You have to convince. I don't know if we have history teachers here, but we have had in the history, future history teachers, in the history of the world, we have had so many leaders that only by this ability of producing a very well organized speech have attracted lots of followers. And even if they are not right, even people who are wrong. Can you give me an example? Can you think about an example that comes to your mind, that maybe a leader that was so good at speaking that many people followed him? It can be a good one or a bad leader. Can you think about one?
Hitler.
Hitler, very good. That's a very good example, Cristobal. Tell us about what you can say about his abilities.
His abilities, I don't know. He just like, sorry, miss, I'm a little bit sleep, but he just convinced almost a full country to follow him for some ideals, even if he didn't represent.
Exactly.
He always talk about the people with blue eyes and tall and blonde, but he was a little guy with brown eyes, black hair. So I think that his abilities were extremely good.
Exactly. And many politicians, as Cristobal is saying, nowadays you can see that, like yesterday or 2 days ago, when we had the discussion of IFPs, the Congress, you could see that the capacity that some politicians have in their speech is amazing. Not in a good way, maybe in a bad way, but they have this way to make you feel like maybe he's right and maybe she or he is not that bad as I thought. And they make you feel that. You feel like that confidence. So, talking about complex relationships, tell me what you think can be a complex relationship. For example, nowadays or every day, what can be complex? This is a question for anyone. What can be a complex relationship?
A long distance.
Long distance relationships. That is one thing we are going to be covering today. Hello, Kata.
Hi.
Another complex relationship we may have nowadays, or maybe during all the times.
Maybe father and son relationships can be complicated sometimes.
Yes, sometimes and many times, especially when you're growing up, especially in these teenage years. Yes, it is. Parents in general and kids, it's quite complicated. Also, a relationship that is not easy to handle is when you don't have this feeling of love or caring for another person, but you have to live with that person or persons through the year and talk to those persons. Like, even if you don't want to make agreements with them, you have to because you are forced. And I'm talking about neighbors. Okay, so the topics we are going to be talking today about are relationships in your community, your neighborhood, and also talking about distant relationships, as Catalina Acuña said. So now that we introduced our topic, I'm going to call the roll. And please let me know, of course, if you're present or absent, and by raising your voice, because I will be sharing the screen for this purpose. All right? So let's see. We're going to start. Today is July the 11th. Agustín Escobar. Absent?
Sí.
Okay, you are. Thank you. Francisca Arancibia.
Present, Miss.
Welcome. Giovanni Agüero.
Present, Miss.
Hello. Camila Murga.
Hello.
Present.
Hello, Camila. Matías Costa.
Present.
Octavio Quiroz. Okay. Sebastián Lara. I think someone wrote. Was it Chris? Sebastián Lara, you're present. What happened to your microphone, Sebastián? Sofía Carrasco.
Present, Miss.
Rocío Aravena.
Present.
Maida Camposano.
Present.
Hello, Maida. Alexis
Hi.
Sareki. Hi. Grisel Guerrero.
Present, Miss.
Matías Riquelme.
Present.
Josefina Merino.
She's in Preu.
Thank you for letting me know.
That she's
Joaquín
going to
Duarte.
join at 9:30.
A bit later? So continue.
Yes.
About what Josefina? She's joining later?
Yes, 9:30.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. Joaquín Duarte.
Present.
Belén Olmos. Cristóbal Montero.
Present.
Fabricio Montero.
Present, Miss.
Felipe Catalán.
Present, Miss.
Felipe Hinojosa. Catalán or
Present.
Hinojosa?
Both.
Both. All right. Thank you. Eduardo Rojas. Josefa Sánchez. Maximiliano Terán.
Present.
Okay, va. Renata Millas.
Present.
Hello, Rodrigo Brito.
Good morning.
Morning. Sebastiana Lazarus.
Present.
Catalina Cuña.
Present.
Joaquín Quesada. Oh, Joaquín is not here. Rocío Bugüeño.
Present.
Hello, Rocío. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's get started. We were warming up a little bit, talking about complex relationships. Please, you go to menti.com using the code because we are going to, I'm going to ask you the same thing we did last class, a question, and we will see the answers.
Teacher,
Yes?
I had a problem with my internet, so I think
So you are?
yes.
You are
Almost.
almost. Let me find you. If you find yourself before me, there you are. Now you're present. Do not worry about it, Belén. I don't know, someone has a problem with the microphone. Felipe, I think it's something wrong with your mic. Thank you. Okay, so menti.com and use the code. I've got already 2 presents there. And answer to the question, would you like to raise your children in a community like yours? Talking about community in general or neighborhood. Would you like to, yes or no? Think about the relationship that you have with the people who lives nearby. I'm going to make your microphones mute for a bit. So if you could answer. I've got 7 persons connected. I still don't see the results. Are you voting?
Yes.
We are.
Yeah. I'm going to refresh the page. Maybe that is a problem. Yes, there it is. Okay, I see that maybe is winning. Yeah, I would have voted the same. because you don't have certainties like nowadays. But imagine that you plan to have children in the future. Imagine, because that is a personal decision, right? And not something you can say now. But if you have, and if you wanted, would you raise them in your community? Yes, no. Okay, so I've got some people who say, I don't think so, or absolutely not. Or maybe that are more inclined to say that it is a negative answer. I'm going to be talking about that answers now. Those answers, I'm sorry. Who would like to share? Why not? Maybe a person that says not, absolutely not, or maybe not, more than maybe yes. Why wouldn't you raise your children in your community, for
Can
example?
I say it?
Yeah, why, for example? What is a reason that tells you that no, it is a no from me?
I said maybe, but I have like an argument. Why did I say maybe?
Okay.
It's because I think that the society we live in, like right now, is too toxic about their ideologies and how we have to spread it. So it doesn't make sense to me that in the future things will go like this. It won't be like, I don't know how to say it, like
Beneficial.
beneficial.
So
Yeah.
I understand what you want to say is that you're not going to think about bringing kids to life if you see that there is a society that is so like polarized and things
Yes.
like that. Oh,
That is the thing. It's
that
like
is
is everything is low. Like is everything so like polarized? Why I have to bring more people that like can fall to that? I don't know how to say it.
yeah, but I see your point. Yes. Thank you very much for sharing. How about people who say yes? I would love to, or maybe yes. Good things that it is possible, because I've got lots of maybes and I've got 4 people who say I would love to. Is there anybody who would like to share the reason why it can be a yes?
I said I would love to.
Yeah, for example, why?
Because I grew up in a good place, playing with a lot of friends, and I think if I had a children, I wanted that he had good friends like I had, place where he can play, and I know this is it's kind of irregular. Se dice igual en inglés que
Regular.
español.
Yes. Yes.
Irregular, yeah, because not all the children have the same conditions to live. But if I can give them a good place to play and grow up, I will love to.
So you would love to raise your children in a community like the one you had when you were raised, because you feel that it was a good place to live in, or a good community to be in. Am I right?
Yes.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Let's go with our next slide and the last one. And it is mostly closely relation with the topic that is relationships. When you talk about how close you are to your neighbors. Can you see the question?
Yes.
Thank you. So it says, how many of your neighbors do you know? Most of them, I have known them since I was little, so they are family for me. I know a few, but I know them pretty well. Most of them, but we don't spend time together. We just know our family names. And they're moving so fast. I have never known who lives next door, and I don't want to know. Maybe if there is an option that is not exactly the option that you would have chosen, choose the one that is closer to your opinion, and then we can justify. All right? So there we are. While others are voting, Can someone share one of the persons that voted for the option that we have on first place? I know a few, but I know them pretty well. Maybe one of the persons who voted that can justify it?
Well, in my case, I grew up in a neighborhood where everyone tried to talk to each other. Everyone tried to communicate. So I know a few families well, but people began to move out. So the few remaining families that were there when I was raised are the ones I know the most.
All right. So, and would you like to have that like in the future as well? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I know mostly they are good people.
Okay.
I mean, I've heard things about them, so I like them.
All right. Thank you. What about the second answer? Most of them, but we don't spend time together. We just know our family names. Anybody who can justify that option? That answer? No? What about the third one? I have never known who lives next door, and I don't want to know.
I don't know them, but I do want to know them.
Okay, so you say that I voted because that was the closest, but because I don't know them, but maybe if it is a chance, I would like to. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because I moved here during quarantine, so it's not like I can meet anyone.
It is not because you haven't wanted, it's because you haven't had the option.
Yeah, pretty much that. I mean, if we are in a lockdown, we can't go outside at all. So
That's right.
I know one, and that's it.
You haven't had the chance. And what if there is an earthquake in Chile? I think that every time we have an earthquake, we meet our neighbors. Don't you think? And you hug them, like, and you cry and you hug people. I don't know why it happens, but every time we have an earthquake, you meet the person next door. Thank you, Geta. What about most of them? I have known them since I was little, so they are family for me. That is my experience, by the way. When I was raised in a community, I was raised in a community where neighbors were important, and I developed friendships since I was born, and they are still my friends, even though we don't live in the same place, not even in the same city. So what about these people who answered, most of them? Would you like to share? No? Okay, continuing with our topic about neighborhood and how complex are relationships in communities, we are going to see our first document of today's lesson, that is helping your community. That is another way to develop relationships. As I told you, we are interacting and persuading because our purpose in this class and next class is to develop your skills for persuading people. And of course, for that purpose, it is important to paraphrase and improve word choice. I took this document from a paragraph about the United States that is about volunteering. Nowadays, volunteering becomes extremely important and necessary due to the circumstances. So I'm going to invite you to read it with me. It says, in the European Union, almost 100 million citizens of all ages invest their time, talents, and money to make a positive contribution to their community by volunteering in civil society organizations, youth clubs, hospitals, schools, and sports clubs, etc. For the Commission, volunteering is an activity expression of civic participation which strengthens common European values such as solidarity and social cohesion. Volunteering also provides important learning opportunities because involvement in voluntary activities can provide people with new skills and competences that can even improve their employability. This is especially important at this time of economic crisis. Volunteering plays an important role in sectors as varied and diverse as education, youth, culture, sport, environment, health, social care, consumer protection, humanitarian aid, development policy, research, equal opportunities, and external relations. My bad, I said that it was a text from the United States. It is a text, but from the UK. I extracted one of the paragraphs because I wanted to discuss with you some of the questions that we have here. It is not going to be like one by one. It is from 1 to 5. I'm going to read the questions for you, and I'm going to look for volunteers to develop these ideas and answer to all of them or any or some of them or one of them. Define volunteering. So what is volunteering for you in relation to the text as well? Can you list some reasons why people volunteer? What are volunteer activities that people do? What benefits may you get by volunteering? And is there a history of volunteerism in your country? So who wants to share one answer or some of the answers that we have there?
I want to.
Please.
Well, I know the benefits of volunteering because since October I'm part of Red Cross Quibue, so
really?
I'm a volunteer.
Good. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, it helps to learn things about your own country, about like laws, like the Geneva Conventions.
Geneva.
I didn't know how to pronounce that.
But it's a new one. You see? A new word.
Yeah. Geneva Conventions. And you learn how to act in certain circumstances. And it's good because, well, I feel good.
Do you agree with this part where it says that it provides learning opportunities because involvement in voluntary activities can provide people with new skills and competences that can even improve their employability? Do you agree with this paragraph in relation to your experience with the Red Cross?
Yeah, actually, I have to be a part of Red Cross. I had to make an infirmary course.
Really? That is so good for your future. Even as a family member, it is important to have like first aid knowledge.
Yeah, first aid. I had to pass an test. Simulation of when someone has a heart attack. So
that's amazing.
I'm very glad for that.
That is a very good opportunity. So congratulations for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
What about other persons? Have you ever heard about the common pot? Nowadays, while we are in this coronavirus crisis, have you heard about the concept common pot?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you know about it? And do you know if it is going on now?
If it's what I think it is.
What do you think it is?
Yeah. Just because I translated, but it's when a lot of people get to, well, not a lot of people, but a bunch of people get together and they start cooking food for the community. Is that? Or is just
they
like
cook. They cook for the community, right? And people go there and they receive free food, like for lunch or maybe. Yes, of course, that's the way it is.
Yeah,
You're
they
right.
are going on right now, but I don't know how they are doing. Like right now, for example, in Valparaiso, because we have like a complete lockdown. I suppose they get like permission because people have to eat, and they are volunteering and they ask for food to the community, like the people that can't pay for that or that are like they don't mind giving away a few items of food,
Mm-hmm.
and they cook for the community, and everyone can go and just receive food.
Do you think that it is a good way to help people who are
Yeah,
in?
I think so.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing your opinion to both of you. Because I've got three quotes about three persons that have marked people's life in different ways. So the first one is about Audrey Hepburn. I don't know if you have heard about Audrey Hepburn. Do you know anything about her? Do you
It
know who
is an actress, right?
she was? An actress. You're right. An actress that is not only known by her job in like acting. She was born in the 20s or 30s, but also she was a very good activist, and she was always aware of people's needs and helping others. That's why she said that, and she said, as you grow older, you will discover that you have two hands, one for helping yourself, the other for helping others. What do you think she meant by that? What is your opinion about her quote? What do you think about the saying, yeah, one for helping yourself and the other for helping others?
I think when you're helping others, you can help yourself in some way.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Can you develop that idea, because that is a very good idea?
Because I don't know, in my personal case, I am from the Centro de Estudiantes. I don't know how can I say it in
Yeah,
English, but
yes,
I think
the students' union, the students. Yeah, it will come to my mind, but go on.
um, and like I was saying, when you can help yourself and you're happy when you're helping others. And it happens to me that when I try to solve the other one problems and give them
Mhm.
help and try to make them focus on what's important, you can feel really good.
So it's like a payback that you feel
Yes.
in that way. Thank you very much for sharing. Do you know who Helen
Me?
Keller? Yes, tell me, please.
Can I add to
Of
Matthias's
course,
comment?
you can always add.
It's beautiful. So, I mean, I love helping to the other persons.
Mhm.
It's beautiful to get a smile from the other.
When you receive that back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that why you want to become teachers, because that is something that the satisfaction when people tell you what you taught me was very useful for this moment in my life, or the values that you taught me were very useful in my life. That is very important. I think that the teaching involves a lot of that, but sometimes you forget about helping yourself. that is the serious problem of future teachers and teachers as well. So thank you for sharing. Do you know who Helen Keller was?
She was a writer.
Yes.
And she was deaf and blind, I think.
Exactly. She was blind and deaf.
Yes, and that.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And she pursued a lot of activities to help people with disabilities to have to reach their goals and fight for their rights. And that's why she said, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. That is another quote that motivates a lot for helping others. But do you know Martin Luther King? And of course, Martin Luther King Jr. Any idea? Whatever comes to your mind.
I think that it's a person, an American guy that fought for the rights of the black people.
Yes, you're absolutely right. He was African American minister, as you said. He was an activist. And he, as you said, he was a very visible spokesperson and leader in terms of civil rights movements until his assassination, right? Yes, you are right. Let's see his quote. Life is most persistent. An urgent question is, what are you doing for others? So it all moves in terms of asking yourself if you are doing enough for you and for others, if you are doing enough for the community. What do you think about these quotes in relation to relationships, our topic?
I think that in some way we are always doing things for the other people, and as you said, the teachers sometimes forgot to do things for them.
Yes.
When you're a teacher and you forgot to do things for you, in some way you are doing things for you because you are doing things that you like. I think that a teacher is a teacher because he likes teaching,
Mm-hmm.
and in a way um, they have a satisfaction when they are teaching each others and things like that. But I don't know how to explain it, but I agree with what is there.
Yes, I see. I see that you agree with that point, and I see that you understand that teaching also involves this giving and not expecting so much back, but giving, right? Because what you have in return is a smile, maybe, or it's the hug of a child that tells you that you are a part of his or her family. Most of the times, if you work in a school, in your future and you decide to work in a school for maybe a few years, some years, or maybe partial job or full-time job, you will see that for most students, the time you spent with them is the most valuable time because that is the moment they have a person worrying about how they feel and how they understand things. That's why a good teacher can do so much, but a bad teacher can do so much damage as well. So that is an invitation for you to keep on thinking about how to help others, because one of the relationships that exists, we have got many, but the relationship you are going to develop with your students in the future is going to be a very important one. So here, there was a person that in the group that said that works for this Red Cross. Okay, so here is the text we are going to be seeing now. I'm going to stop sharing so I can share it again because I need the
Hi,
sound.
Miss.
Yes, you were. So what's your name?
Yes,
Because I cannot see it now.
Josefina Merino. I arrived.
Okay, so Josefina, yes, you're right. You were at the Preuniversitario, right?
Yes.
Yes, how was that?
Good.
Good. Okay, thank you for arriving because you were talking about this experience with the Red Cross. What motivated you?
Motivate me for what?
To be part of the Red Cross.
What is the Red Cross?
Or it was another person, Rocio. It was
no,
you.
it wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rocio, you were talking about joining the Red Cross, and that was your experience. Yes, can you tell me what motivated you?
Well, mostly I was just searching for something to do with my free time. But then a friend who was in Red Cross began to tell me about the history about the Red Cross, about the ideals of the Red Cross, and I thought that it was not pretty cool, but like inspiring.
And interesting. Yes, Rocio,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that experience, because now we are going to see a person that has a reason also, like you, like a motivation, but this reason is like based on her experience. So I'm going to invite you to look at this video that is about helping your community. So tell me if you can listen to the audio. Can you listen to the audio?
In my
Yes.
friend's
Thanks.
Yes.
car, I was a passenger in the car,
and we were going up to do
and
a
we were
training
going up to do a training
course,
course
when a drunk driver hit
when a
us.
drunk driver hit us,
So we're on the motorway,
and at a combined speed
of about 190.
of about 190.
Can
Yes?
I ask to mute all students, please?
Yes, I will do it immediately. Let me see if I have more students who aren't muted with the microphone. I think they are all muted. Yes, we are ready.
Miles an hour. We
we
rolled
four times
in the central reservation.
we
were
were
left with quite serious injuries. I had serious back injuries, resulted in my left leg being paralysed.
Sorry?
Can you mute your microphone, please?
My
there's an
microphone.
echo.
Okay.
Yes, please. Thanks.
For quite some time, so I was using a wheelchair and crutches for about 9 months to a year. From that, I just didn't want to leave the house. I didn't recognise myself as being someone in a wheelchair and didn't want my friends to see me like that. And as a result, just shut myself away completely. If anyone would have said to me, "Are you lonely or isolated?" I would have said no, because I was young. I didn't think loneliness affected younger people, and I had my phone. If I wanted to go out, I could have. So I didn't think at the time I was lonely, but looking back on it now, I was. I've always been someone who's been out helping other people, working for the ambulance service, volunteering for emergency response and first aid services within the Red Cross. I've always been out helping other people. So my local emergency response team said, "Look, we need you to come out, we need you to do this," and kind of forced me to leave the house. And for me, that first time leaving the house made me realise how much I missed it, and was the shock into saying, I really am lonely and I am isolating myself because of this. And for me, that was the wake up that I needed to then get back out and carry on. I've been able to help the Red Cross in responding to Grenfell, to the fire. I've been able to go back out as a first aider and saved a man's life at an event. He stopped breathing and I managed to get him back breathing. So through them being able to help me get over my loneliness, I've then managed to help other people. It's amazing and it's so lovely to be able to give something back. So for me, it was what I've always wanted to do, and it's been such a help for me being able to be there for other people. And I don't think I would have been able to do that without the support the Red Cross gave me initially. And just knowing I can hopefully give something like that back to someone else is amazing.
Miss, you are muted.
I know. I just saw it. It happens all the time. Thank you. Okay, so as I was saying, when you were not listening, is that as you can see, as Rocio is doing nowadays with the Red Cross, the British Red Cross also works helping others, but in a way that considers also other aspects. Like, for example, the aspect that I was mentioning now, she was mentioning now, that she had a traumatic experience. And traumatic experiences are not only physical ones, but also emotional ones. When you have a loss, an important loss, or when you have suffered any kind of abuse, and you tend to get lonely, and loneliness exists. And in this case, she felt alone, and now she's helping others who are in the same condition as hers. So can you see the purpose that she has in her volunteering? What can you tell us about what you saw in the video? What do you think about the video and her motivation? I don't know if you have ever helped a neighbor, for example. Have you ever helped a neighbor like her? Have you ever asked like questions like, if you want to talk, I am here for you? Maybe a neighbor or a friend or a person that lives with you. Have you ever felt that you can help others with actions like this one?
Miss?
Yes?
Well,
Yes.
in the most of my life, I didn't do many friends since I first grade, but I always love my friends that is not that are like three people, but I always help them.
You're always there for your
Yeah.
friends. So they are not many. Don't consider yourself, Alexis, as a friendly person. You're not looking for people like to be friends and make friends, but the ones that you have, you take care of them.
Yeah.
And do you feel that is mutual? That you feel that they are for you as well? That
Yeah,
you can count on
in the
them?
most case, yeah, and
Mhm.
I know that what is lonely. I was lonely for very much time,
You
and I
know
appreciate
what it
yeah
feels.
yeah, and I appreciate the friends I have.
So you know that having a friend, maybe a friend or maybe two or three, like your case, friends is valuable
Yeah.
in moments of loneliness,
Mhm.
right? Thank you for sharing that, Alexis. That is very beautiful to hear. Anybody else have ever felt that you have done something for others and you have received that back as well? Jose?
For example, I am volunteer. I volunteer for
Yes.
Techo para Chile.
Oh, really?
So I'm constantly calling people to know how they are feeling, if they need something, or stuff like that. So, like, not only with my friends, with people I don't know. I don't know how to say campamentos.
Camps.
Camps.
Yes.
Yes.
Like summer camps.
Like
When
that's
people
super.
live in places that are not in the best conditions. Most
Yes.
of the times people do not live in those cases like in good conditions, and they receive some help like with Techo para Chile, but it is never going to be enough if it is not the definite house, right? But at least they can have a place to live safer with Techo.
Yes.
Yes. What do you exactly do there?
I don't have a like exact job, but last winter holidays I went to Iquique to post.
Good.
I can't remember the place exactly the place, but I went to Iquique to build medias aguas. And like this year, like we can't go to the physical camp. So we are
No, you will
as
not
I
be
told
able.
as I told you before, we are constantly calling people to ask them like if they need something to incorporate them to bonos.
Okay, so you help with people who are segregated from
Yes,
the community.
and also, for example, if they need something,
yes,
they can call me later. Sometimes they write me like in WhatsApp.
Yes.
To
So you
ask
have
me,
contact with them.
yes, but not with all.
Okay, but some of them.
The ones who need help, and that is my. And now we are making a project because of climate change.
Climate change,
Yes,
nice.
so we are looking like I don't know if the cure, but the way to help in ollas comunes.
In common pots.
Yes,
That's good because that is
is
necessary now.
yes.
Okay, so thank you very much for sharing your experience, Jose. I see that we've got volunteers here in our group, in our mini community here. Talking about our project, we were saying at the beginning of the class, we have two topics. One topic is neighborhood, that is community, as we were talking about in the first section of this class. And we were also talking about our skill, that is debating. To close this idea, let me talk to you a little bit about an activity. We are going to have to close the first idea and then start the second idea. That is helping your community amid the COVID-19 crisis. Even in area of social distancing, we can still connect with our neighbors and offer support to those in need. So I'm going to invite you to do this activity. Think about ideas to promote and share a volunteer activity for your community. Think about how you're going to distribute it. Imagine later that 2 weeks pass after the distribution of the flyers, for example, if you're going to use flyers, and say how the process has been. I have to move this. And say how the process has been. So let's think about this idea. I'm going to give you like 2 minutes to develop this idea, and then the persons who want to share it will be able to share it. So think about a way to help your community as a volunteer. Then think about how you're going to organize it and distribute the information, maybe to get sponsors, or it can be something tangible or intangible. And also then imagine that some time passes and you can tell me how the process has been. All right. I'm going to write instructions in the chat room, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes to develop your ideas. I would like to share 2 ideas that I prepared for the class. Maybe they can be inspirational for what you're doing. And maybe that can give you an idea of 2 ideas that I prepared for the class. That one is tangible and the other is not. For example, one idea that I created with the flyer that is tangible is free face masks. And this is a fake number, of course. So it's make a difference, and it is giving face masks for you and the family if you're part of my community or neighborhood. So that is an idea that is for free, that is tangible. Things that I have to collect. I have to collect the materials and people who can help me with the distribution, maybe answering the phone. That would be my organization. And also, there is something that is not tangible, that is raising awareness. And when I created this, I was thinking about maybe using Instagram to make Instagram lives with maybe specialists and doctors that I may know that can be talking about how to prevent fighting, how to fight coronavirus and all the other viruses with different things that you can do at home. So this is for raising awareness. So all the ideas are welcome. All right. Let's see if we can see some examples that you may have. Let me go with any student that hasn't spoken. I see Eduardo Rojas joined with Octavio. Maybe you can start, boys, because I haven't heard you. Eduardo, are you there? No? Octavio?
Miss, excuse me, I I didn't understand what I what I need to do.
Okay, so think about something you can do as a volunteer to help your community. Okay, Octavio? Okay, try to use the camera because that in Propedéutico we need to see the faces for the person.
Sorry.
If you can. Thank you, Octavio. Sorry for bothering you. Hello. Octavio, can you tell us about an idea that you may have to help your community? Is there a way you can do something?
Yes. In my personal history,
Mm-hmm.
and one time I'm with with a group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
We go to the estero of Limache to catch trash.
So what?
Sorry,
What, can you repeat that because I didn't understand?
Yes. Sorry, my level of speaking is
No, do
very
not
short.
worry. We are here for helping, but I need to understand what you meant. What did you mean by what were you trying to say?
With my friends, I go to the estero of Limache, and
Limache.
yes,
You said Limache. That was the word that I didn't understand. Okay.
Oh,
So you
okay.
go there, and what do you do there?
We let me. um,
Do you help the community?
no, we collect trash. Collect trash.
You collect trash. So in that way, you help. That is a good way to help the community because what you do is helping, like maybe the environment, but also it makes the community feel part of taking care of their own space for their own health. So do you do it like often, or do you do it with your friends just because you want to?
Because a teacher suggests the idea.
And you felt that it was a good idea.
Yes.
Okay, so we are not going to imagine anything here because Octavio actually is doing something. So thank you for sharing, Octavio. What about you, Felipe Hinojosa?
I thought, Merced, like more on a awareness
Raising
thing.
awareness.
Yes, but more like precautions. Like the first month that this preventive quarantine started, I saw too many people with maybe gloves, but touching his face, so it wasn't like more
effective.
beautiful. Yes, so maybe online reunions, so people can learn and know how they have to use these things.
Okay, so let's imagine that, okay, you have the idea. Let's imagine you're going to make it, you're going to do it, okay? I'll make it concrete. How would you like to promote it?
It's hard because going in like the streets and posting flyers, it isn't like much of precaution. Like it's so exposing ourselves. But at the same time, online advertisement it isn't useful too because no one see them. So it's hard to promote them.
It is hard. So if you had to choose one option, how would you do it?
I think online, because it would be like hypocritical doing in the streets.
Okay, so let's imagine you do it, you promote it online, and it is for raising awareness. So let's imagine that 2 weeks passed. Tell us, how has it been? What have you been doing?
Like, I think maybe once or twice a week the reunions will be effective. But and maybe more people will be more aware of what is happening and try to teach their friends, so they could be helping the situation more.
Okay, so if I ask you, what have you been doing during these 2 weeks? What would you answer?
Trying to explain people how to be aware or precautious.
Okay, thank you very much, Felipe, for sharing. And finally, I'm going to talk to Belén Olmos. Hello, Belén.
Hello.
Did you think about an idea?
Yeah, I've been thinking about something like sponsor an event.
Okay, what is it?
For example, I don't know, you check the list of people, like all people, and you choose one, and you can buy food for them, because they can't go to
the grocery shop.
Yeah, they can't do that. So most of them don't have nothing to eat, or their maintenance, so then don't have anything.
How are you going to let people know that you are thinking about this idea of volunteering?
As everything of this with the lockdown, we can't like see much things on the street. So I think that the online idea is a very good way.
It could be a good one. That's right. And Belén, can you tell us that let's imagine that 2 weeks pass. What have you been doing in these 2 weeks after the idea was presented to your community?
I think that it will like, I don't know, it will go in a good way. You don't have nothing like to lose, at least your health. That's like one thing that you can control. And I think that a lot of people will like try it. You don't lose anything else, and you can help people, and they will live.
So has it worked in your case? Have you been able to do it?
I don't know if we could do that, but my family is like, yeah, you have a problem, we can, I don't know, solve it. So if someone asks to us that if we can help them, we
you do it.
Do it. Yeah, and we are going to do that and do more than what they need.
Okay, so you do more than expected most of the time. Thank you very much, Belén, for sharing that. And let's go to our final topic now, that we are going to finish talking about the community. Now we're going to be talking about personal relationships. Okay, so that is going to do the introduction. That is going to be the introduction for our next issue, that is debating, something we are going to develop next class. But for this mini debate, or expressing your opinion, because what is the actual debating is going to be next class, that page. But for our initial debating, I'm going to ask you to pay attention to useful expressions that we have for debating. So I'm going to open the new tab here with the text we are going to be reading. As I said, our topic now is about how to develop your relationships during this crisis, maybe long distance relationships due to the circumstances. But to express yourselves, I'm going to leave in the chat room these expressions that are going to be useful for this activity. So let's see. The ones that, if you look at the chat, you will see the useful expressions that I left for you. And for debating, we have to sequence your arguments. So I think that the last one is adding arguments. So I'm going to add the other one. I think concluding didn't appear. So can you see the chat? I think you can all see it. Yes, excellent. So those are the expressions. Thank you for your thumbs up. So you can all see the expressions that you have there to express yourselves based on what we are going to be reading. So sequencing of arguments is to put them in order. You can say any of those expressions, like I'd start by saying this to begin with, or for a start, first, secondly, or etc. When you add an argument, so in addition to that, you also have to consider furthermore, moreover, you choose, and maybe to close your idea, you can, as a final word, to reiterate my point, my final thought are expressions that you have to get used to. And this text is about a story of a person who hasn't been able to be in contact with her boyfriend during this quarantine. So we are all going to be reading this text together. And this text is quite long. It's a whole page. So I'm going to be asking some people to read meanwhile. All right? I'm going to start reading, and then I will say the name of somebody who is going to continue reading. We are all going to be reading, hopefully. So we are going to go in order. We are going to start with, I start with the first paragraph, and then we continue with Agustin, Alexis, and Belen. Okay, so consider that because I'm going to be following the order of this attendance. So Agustin, Alexis, Belen. Weeks ago, I said goodbye to my boyfriend outside Orlando International Airport after one of our usual visits back and forth. If I had known then what I know now, I would have kissed him longer or had him harder. Agustin. Agustin Escobar. Yes, there you are.
I'm here.
Okay, this is your paragraph.
The second?
This one.
Okay. I landed back in Massachusetts, where I've been living and working as writer for most of the relationship and the sea of uncertainty, COVID-19. Is caused by the novel coronavirus took hold of my state. I was in my home state of New York, in what seemed like the blink of an eye. Business closed, work moved to home, and state issued stay at home orders at restricted travel. I could have stayed in Florida longer, but the work was calling, and he had things to focus on.
That's right. So then we have, I forgot the name, Alexis.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Before COVID-19, my boyfriend and I had been traveling more than 1,300 miles back and forth to see each other pretty frequently. About a year ago, we had reconnected after 10 years absence from each other's life. It started with a DM, as all great love stories do. I thought we were both from different parts of Long Island, New York, and went to undergrad together in upstate New York from 208 to 210. 2010. We had gone our separate ways for 7 years.
That's right. Thank you very much, Alexis. Belen.
When we reconnected, I've been living in Brooklyn for 5 years and was preparing to head to New England. He moved to Florida after a stint in the Navy in California and was pursuing a business degree after leaving college early to the first go around. Initially, neither of us thought our message back and forth would lead to much. Just shy of a year later, thought we're together.
very much in love and planning to finally be in the same place in 8 months or so. It might not sound like a near future, but to us it's nothing at this point.
Thank you. So far, we have known that we have learned that this couple started a long distance relationship, but now they are talking. They were talking about how it all started, and they were mentioning these 10 years where they didn't see each other, but they have known each other for a long time. There you can see a photograph, and we are going to continue reading with the help of Camila Murga, Catalina Cuña, and Cristobal Montero. All right? So they are at Universal Studios. Cata.
El primero.
That is yours.
We just switched of traveling and really when for more than 3 or 4 weeks without a visit. When the coronavirus arrived in the United States, we were blissfully unaware and in the middle of planning our first anniversary. Where we go, what we done for how long. Now we just hope to see each other again sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Camila, Catalina Cuña, and then Cristobal. All right? That is a photo. Long distance relationships are all about adapting and overcoming. So, Catalina, this is yours.
We did for the better part of the year, and we are doing it now. So the uncertainty is new. The first week or two was the hardest. There were nonsense fights about texting too much or too little, or comments lost on text, and moments when it felt like maybe long distance was too hard. But we worked out the kinks, most of them anyway. We may not be able to physically be together, but there's a lot we and other people in long distance relationships can do to feel connected, even in isolation.
That's right. Thank you. I always forget the names before the next one. Cristobal Montero was the next one. Cristobal, it says text, but not exclusively. Texting is a nice way to check in. This is for you.
Even before the pandemic, my boyfriend and I would tend to text all day and forego phone calls. Here's the thing. Texting is impersonal and things get lost in translation. I can't tell you how many fights we've had over how one person perceived the other's text. Texting too much also leaves you with nothing to talk about when you do get time to hop on the phone. Stay in touch to check in or say I love you, but don't let it be your main form of communication.
That's right. Thank you very much. Let's continue with Eduardo Rojas and Fabricio. Hello, Eduardo.
Hello.
It says take advantage of FaceTime. Connecting face to face, even over your phones, can help you feel closer. This is for you.
After yeah.
Eduardo, yes.
Not being able to physically see each other's stuff, but technology, it's a powerful tool. A few weeks ago, my boyfriend and I started FaceTiming regularly. We had time and tried to stick to it. Things come up even in isolation, but we try to communicate and reschedule. As it is, no?
Reschedule, American, reschedule, British, but it's the same.
Reschedule. Face-to-face interaction really helps you feel close even when you're not. Video chat just to talk or set up FaceTime or some dates. It's better than not seeing each other at all.
That's right. Thank you, Fabricio. Make time. Prioritize making time for each other every day.
Okay. Recently, someone stressed to me the importance of being present during this isolation.
When you're working, be at work. When you're doing something else, like talking to your partner, be present in the conversation. Don't do other things while you're talking, no matter how good a multitasker you think you are. One of the first arguments my boyfriend and I had in his isolation was about distractions during our time. Not feeling like a priority to someone important to you really sucks. Give people your undivided attention.
That's right. Giving people the time that they require. And then we are going to go with the next topic, that is to go deeper. And we finished with Fabricio. So let's go with Felipe Catalan and Felipe Hinojosa. The Felipe's time. Go deeper. He and her boyfriend have had deep talks on their long car rides. Okay, so this is going to be for one Felipe and the other one for the other Felipe. So Felipe number one, that is Felipe Catalan. You start.
Um, okay. My boyfriend and I always talk a lot, but during self-isolation, we are now talking more than ever. It didn't take long to tire off conversation about nothing or ones that weren't going anywhere. No, I don't have any big plans. Yes, I'm working. I'm fine. Just bored. If you got more time on your hands to talk, try to go deeper. Ask your partner questions like what their dream job is, what animals they be if they had to choose, what their last meal on earth will be if they could pick. The question can be deep, introspective, or just straight up funny. Just try to stop having the same conversation over and over again.
That's right. Thank you very much, Felipe. The other one?
In long distance relationships, it can take time to get a good feel for who the person you're with really is or where you stand as a couple because you're not physical together at all time. Get creative. During a long road trip, I ran through the famous 36 questions that lead to love written about in the New York Times. I've also turned to the book of questions.
That's right, the book of questions. Thank you very much. The last thing, if I'm not wrong, is little things go a long way. And that is going to go to Francisca and Giovanni. Francisca. Little things go a long way. And look at the clothes she's wearing, because this is what they are going to be talking about. The tie-dye onesie, tie-dye onesie means that it is, I don't know if you have seen one. A onesie is one piece of clothing that you wear, like it includes the top and the bottom. It is one piece of clothing. I don't know if you know what I mean. Maybe un enterito, that's the word that I was looking for. Tie-dye, because it's tie-dyed with different colors and the fabric. So now we go with Francisca, right?
Yes. It's always the little things that matter in any relationship, but in a long distance relationship, they are huge. Celebrate milestones that may come up during isolation, and find small ways to let your partner know you care and are thinking about them. Did my boyfriend just send me a tie-dye thermal onesie? Sure did. Have I been living in it? Also, yes.
And I'm
telling you, is the little thing.
That's right. And I think this is the last part for who was next after Francisca? Giovanni. So Giovanni, don't forget how far you've come. A photo from the author's many plane trips. Giovanni, you finish.
Some days are harder than others. Throughout isolation, my partner and I have been making post-coronavirus plans and countdowns. But then the governors of our respective states will extend social distancing guidelines. It's happened more than once, and probably will again. I hope not, but I'm just trying to be real with myself. On the harder days, I remind myself of everything we've been through. Long stretch apart, trips that didn't go as planned, personal issues. You name it. We've dealt with it. This is just another hurdle to clear together, while apart.
Excellent. Very good. And if I'm not wrong, we finished with Giovanni's reading. Oh no, we have the last one. My mistake, my bad. So where is it? Okay, there. Don't take your quality time for granted. And this is the one. So we finished with Grisel, Joaquin Duarte, and Joaquin Quesada. So this is the turn for Joaquin's, but we start with Grisel. So Grisel, don't take your quality time for granted. The author and her partner. So this goes for Grisel, and then this is Joaquin's.
Okay. I have learned a lot of lessons about my relationship in self-isolation, but perhaps the most important is to never again take our time together for granted. I will take less than perfect trips, all the layovers in the world, and perfectly imperfect dates. I just want to be back together again, or know when that will be possible.
Thank you. Joaquin number one. I'm not so sure if it is Duarte number one. Yes, Duarte, and then Quesada.
Isolation has been thought, but people in long-distance relationships are used to challenges. All we can do is make the best of the situation and anxiously await the moment we are allowed to reunite.
Excellent. And the last one?
Caitlin Hills is a New York native living her dream of working as a writer and editor. She was a huggy-loving bagel snob who would do anything for Beyonce. Caitlin spent most of her career in entertainment before expanding into food, relationships, mental health, and more. Find her
So
on Twitter.
if you want to follow more of her blogs and ideas, you can find her on Twitter account. Thank you very much, Joaquin, for joining our reading session. What you are going to be doing now is that I'm going to share the link with you. That is the first thing we have to do, because I need you to go to the chat to be able to do our final activity before we say goodbye. And if you go to the link, you can go yourselves into the 7 communication tips that Caitlin Hit gives us. So out of the 17 communication tips, I want you to choose one communication tip. Then, using the language that I marked from this document, using these useful expressions, I want you to sequence your arguments. You can add arguments to strengthen your point and then conclude. Try to choose expressions from the list I gave you and tell me what your opinion is in relation to what she presented from the 7 communication tips to keep your relationships alive during quarantine. Okay, so I will say it again. Read the 7 titles for communication tips that she gave, the ones that we have just read. The 7 tips she gave for relationships, for keeping alive relationships during quarantine. Okay, then you choose one out of the 7. After that, try to write a text where you express your opinion using the expressions that I have just given you. It has to be something short, but very clear enough. So I know very straight if you agree or disagree with her point. Choose only one. I'm going to give you some minutes. Today, I will only check one of the texts, because next class, using that information, we are going to be developing our debating techniques. Our debate is going to be developed in terms of the topic we have been discussing during these classes, that is the personal relationships. So next class, we are going to be dividing teams, listening to the motion, checking the positions for those motions, and understanding how to prepare for a debate that is for our next evaluation that is on the 25th. All right, so let's get started because what you do today is going to be something that is going to be useful for the rest of the class. So what if I give you 3 minutes to organize your ideas, maybe choose one of the tips of the communication? While you're working, I'm going to repeat the instructions again. You have 7 communication tips given by Caitlin Head. Choose one of them. Develop your opinion in relation to what she says of her experience. How do you write your opinion in a brief text? You are going to be using the expressions that I gave you to sequence your arguments, add arguments, and conclude. So in 3 more minutes, I'm going to be asking you about your idea. Filipino Josa, you should be writing.
I'm thinking, Miss.
You're
I'm
thinking,
reading.
okay. Okay, I'm going to choose only one person to close our class. We are going to listen to this person's opinion. And after that, I'm going to give you this like as a mini homework to continue the development of your idea, because next class we are going to start presenting these ideas. Okay, so try to keep that in mind because that's what we are going to do at the beginning of next week's class. Maximiliano Terán, is it possible that you can share your answer with us?
I couldn't develop it. I couldn't develop it so deeply.
Okay, that's fine. So what if we all present the opinion next class? Yes, because maybe it wasn't enough time for you to develop your idea. So we are going to close today's lesson by remembering that our main objective is that you can practice key communication skills by offering opinion, agreeing and disagreeing. That is the objective of this unit. So what we are going to be working with next class is vocabulary and strategies for using debates to express your opinion about our topic of the unit, that is personal relationships. Today we were talking about relationships with the community, with volunteering, and of course with the neighborhood. But also we started talking about long distance dating. That is something that is very current. It's going on due to coronavirus crisis. And we are going to develop one motion that is connected with these relationships during coronavirus next class. So don't forget your homework. And thank you very much for your attendance today and your participation. You are an excellent group. So I'll see you next class. Bye, team.
Bye.
See you
Bye.
now. Bye, miss.
Bye, miss.
Bye.
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 See you, miss.
Goodbye, miss.
Bye bye, miss.
Bye.